Good evening and welcome to the Marshall Hangout with Kerry. And today we have the awesome artist and incredible friend, Jamie Acheson, also known as the Naming James. Hello.
Hi, Kerry Ann.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being my guest this evening.
Pleasure.
I'm really excited to talk to you about music, about equipment, and just about the industry in general, to share a couple of stories too.
Good.
And when I say this, I don't say it lightly. He's part of the furniture, not here at Marshall Music, but in Joburg in general. You are such an incredible musician and so important to the music industry. You've played with so many artists. And you're a Jamie of many trades. Such a beautiful singer-songwriter and collaborating with so many different artists and jamming with so many great artists throughout the years. And DJing too, you really do so much. You're so talented.
Thank you.
What is your favorite part of creating music? Is it being in studio? Is it laying down the tracks? Is it the songwriting aspect? Or is it just jamming on stage?
There are so many, but I think all the aspects that are tied to the creative process, I think, are amazing. Sometimes you can have, the studio can be like pretty boring and stagnant, but then a gig after the gig in the parking lot could be the most inspiring thing ever. So I just love, and I think that's why I've followed a lot of different paths within music, wherever the creativity is and that fellowship that we get from music.
Yeah.
So, but if I had to pick one, I'd say nothing beats a live gig any day of the week, and that is what I've done for so many years, and you know.
Okay, so saying so many years, how long have you actually been performing for?
Well, I did my very first gig as the lead singer and guitarist in the Sponge Puppets at David Jamison's 16th birthday party at his mom's house. And that was in, I think, 1997 or 1998.
Wow.
But I remember in...
kind of goosebump moment, actually.
I think we were terrible. But we had a great cover of Green Day, When I Come Around, and I think we also...
And that must have gone down a treat in the mid-90s.
It was absolutely brilliant. I think we also played, oh geez, I can't even remember. I think it was mainly just the Green Day songbook. Yeah. Anyway, since then, and then since I left school, I have been playing professionally and teaching music and doing sound engineering, and I did theatre sound production once.
Wow. I
was even nominated for the Lady Theatre Award.
Look at you! Jamie of many trades, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then I DJ'd for a few years, and anything where the people are and where we get together. And,
are you DJ Dinner Jacket?
I am DJ Dinner Jacket, yes.
Such a great DJ, so much fun. You always get the party started. But let's go back a couple of steps. You said you teach music, or you used to. Do you still teach music?
I still do. I used to teach full-time at a school, which I actually really loved. And I'd probably actually go back to that after the current state of affairs that we've been in.
Gosh, yeah.
But I always loved that. I myself did my classical theory and basic guitar grades when I was at school. Yeah. And that's put me in good stead. I've always taught that, and I even prepared kids for their exams and all of that. So I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
I can totally believe it, because with your personality, I think you'd love teaching and sharing your knowledge of music with others. So it makes total sense. And just while we're right here in the middle of the chat, how can people get hold of you if they're looking to get some lessons?
If they want to get hold of me, just send a message, I think, on Naming James' Facebook page, and we'll get back to you. When I say we, it will be I, probably my wife. Jackie will get back to you. But I think that's an easy place to connect. Is Facebook, or namingjames.com is also there, that has all the connections on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you want to book Jamie for a gig, a corporate, maybe you are looking for a fun DJ, or if you're looking for music lessons,
or a clown.
Ta-da! Then Naming James on Facebook. Okay, now I want to talk to you about all the artists you've collaborated with, jammed with over the years. We've kind of chatted about how long you've been in the industry for, and I guess around 22 years.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the collaborations and the bands you've worked with, because I know there's a Southern Gypsy Queen gig that was going to happen and hopefully still will happen. So you've jammed with Gareth on many occasions. So let's talk about your collaborations throughout the years.
I think one that springs to mind every time I've ever arrived at a festival, my good friend Yaku Mans, who in my opinion is one of the greatest guitarists in our country, of Tidal Waves fame.
Yes, Tidal Waves, Decia,
and now Decia,
so many bands.
And Coelacanth, and just a really artistic guy as well. Yeah. He's a great artist too. I keep telling him to share his damn talent, you know. And we've played at nearly every big festival where we are on together, and have never ever rehearsed once. And all my big shows in the pictures and that, you can just see Mr. Muntz there. And not once did he ever ask for a single penny. And all we did was just jam.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that. And I remember when I was coming up at one Strab concert, I walked up to him and I just said what an inspiration he was to me after a Tidal Waves gig. And I didn't know him at the time. And I mean, fast forward to last year, we had a great time in Zambia together and performed for probably the 10th time together on stage. And that is probably one of my best collaborations.
Yeah.
Another one is Some Grow Young. I spent a lot of time touring and performing with those guys, really good friends of mine, and contributed creatively to their album, which I think is one of the best albums out there, which I don't think people hear these days because the band doesn't. They created this amazing album and then stopped.
No, they play hard to get those.
Yeah. Well, it's great because you've got to earn it. It's such great music, and I enjoyed that collaboration. I mean, I played at one Up the Creek festival as the Bandoleros. When I looked on stage and there was Sculpture Bear, Greg Georgiades was with me, Gareth Bungie was on the drums.
Wow.
And Gareth Wilson, my old pal, I played with him all up and down the country. I even once went on tour with him. I had a whole 10-day Eastern Cape tour with a broken right leg. And Gareth came back on tour in a worse condition than I did.
Being on tour, I haven't been on tour for such a long time, but being on tour there's nothing quite like it. And I think the calm down after you get back to real life is unreal, because you're in this bubble of happiness with your brothers or your sisters, and you're just playing music and jamming and sharing
this bubble
of
happiness. It is sometimes a bubble of stinky happiness.
All the boys on the bus go round and round. But being on tour is something very special, and when you get back to real life, you're not. Where are the brothers? Where's the stage? Where's the that scene from Almost Famous when they're on the bus and they're all singing
exactly
that song. I guess it was Tiny Dancer.
Yeah, Tiny Dancer.
And that
that's
takes
a real
me back.
Feeling.
It takes me back to being on tour, and I'm not even a musician, but I've been so lucky to be on tour with so many great bands in this country, and there's really nothing that beats it. So
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. And wow, what incredible artists you've mentioned. Please, if you haven't checked out Yaku Mans, do so. He's done such magic work with Tidal Waves, with Decia, with Coelacanth, and Some Grow Young. What a great band. Dane's vocal is something quite special. And
he's a great songwriter. I think Dane's songwriting as well is... Dane was destined to write novels and books.
Yes, he's writing right now, and I can't wait to read what he's creating. But he's a beautiful, beautiful songwriter and a great performer. And Michael Plaxton Harrison is just a
also
demon
on
the guitar. So Some Grow Young, check them out too. And of course, Gareth Wilson. And he's in a band called Cockles.
Don't check Gareth out at all.
Yeah, he's super dangerous. Check him out online, but maybe just not in real life. Sorry, G-Wiz.
Take a buddy with you.
Take a buddy. Okay, cool. So you've worked with so many great artists, and you've been around for so many years, just making beautiful music. And you've said that your favorite part of it all is just jamming live on stage, which I can only imagine is something quite special. What is happening in the world of Naming James right now? I know that you've been writing.
Yeah.
So is the next step going to the studio?
Absolutely. I think the next step is the studio. And I definitely, in the last sort of year or two, I've sort of slowed down with playing and that. It certainly is, as much as I say that I love it, it is a young man's game. And it's a hectic lifestyle to uphold. So I'd like to record some new music and then and tour it and promote it in a nice, relaxing way. And I think it will be a lot more... a lot of my performance has been based in entertainment first and then a message second. So I think what I'm going to try now is the songs and the message and what I'd like to say in the songs will be first, and yeehaw, James will possibly be a bit more... he'll always be there. Whenever I get onto that microphone, it's the same.
Yeah.
But I think a slightly more mature offering. God, mature offering.
Well,
out of that mouth of yours. What that mouth of, mister? I don't know about you, but I'm never maturing.
God.
I'm maturing in my looks. Yeah. But I'm Benjamin Buttoning hard when it comes to getting older. I'm like, oh, look at the time. I'm going back another year. Don't you? And you know this about me. Like, I think every year I become more childish, and more ridiculous and more irresponsible. So please don't mature too much.
Promise you I won't. But definitely some new songs with a message.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. And then going back a few steps again, you said it's a young man's game. It's not easy being a little rock and roller and performing night after night, paying the bills. People always think that it's all glam and you get on the stage and you rock out and they're groupies and you're drunk and then you magically get home, the bills magically get paid, and then the next day you wake up and you keep on going. And no, it takes its toll and it's not as glamorous. Yes, it's an incredible thing if you can do it, but tell us a bit about the pros and cons of being a musician, a singer-songwriter.
Well, I think most certainly there's this like you're always having to battle. I always call it the wheel. So you have the wheel where you have to pay your rent and be in the real world and all of that.
Yeah.
And then you have to be an artist and still find time to create. So I think the main thing is I was quite stubborn when I was younger. Everyone always said, you have to have a backup plan and you have to have that. And I just went full on into music, but it put a lot of pressure on myself. And I wished I would have had something else to let the wheel keep going. So I would suggest to anyone getting into it, seriously have something that you can fall back on. I'm sounding like my dad, but it is a real thing, because there were moments when my love for music was becoming compromised by my need to pay my bills and eat and stuff. And that was very scary for me. And when you also, if that's all you've done, you start thinking, well, I'm surviving on this just on my passion. And now I don't feel so passionate about it because I've got to go and do every single thing because,
Of course.
And I think if you can just separate that and make sure that you have time to be an artist and be a creator and be a kid, because that's when you are the most creative, when you are at play and when you're free. Okay. And make sure that you have that time. That is what's going to make you successful. And if you keep creating, you can have all the gear and all of the albums and all of that, and it can keep rolling. But if you don't have any content and any creativity and imagination, you're not going to get you'll run into a roadblock eventually. So nurture your inner child and make sure that it's happy all the time and that you can create whenever and however.
Well, there you have it. Such great advice. Thank you, Jamie, because there are so many young artists out there, up-and-coming artists, that don't have this schooling. They don't have someone to ask. There isn't a book that says you need to do this, this, and this to become a super famous or super successful, a super whatever singer-songwriter, performer, actor, So I think in anything creative,
Yeah.
that's such great advice. And I ask this question often because
Good
there
question to
are
ask.
so many
Yeah.
artists out there that are hungry
Yeah.
to do better and to do more, but they may not have someone to look up to or
Yeah.
a mentor or a teacher, and they may not know the next step.
And it's a
There's
lot.
so
Yeah,
many
it's a lot of
steps.
trusting yourself.
Yeah.
To go like, I can go there just on my creativity. You can spend a long time thinking, oh, I've got to get it sounding right, or what's the right sound for now, or whatever. And at the very base of that, it's always your creativity that will win. Doesn't matter how cool you look or how many ballies you've got on your jersey.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Another question, and I love asking this one. I don't ask it too often, but I've just been watching so many great documentaries, and I pretty much only read books on artists' biographies and their life stories because, let's be honest, artists are very interesting, and those reads are
Way more
pretty
exciting.
entertaining,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I'm a huge fan too.
So I've watched Blinded by the Light, where Springsteen inspired that kid. And I just recently watched Dirt, which is
Oh, that's
insane, the Motley
fantastic. Yeah, the Motley Crue
movie, which was really, really well done in my opinion.
And entertaining as well.
And super duper entertaining. And I'm reading a book called Amy 27, about the 27 Club, and it talks about Amy is the primary subject, if you will, but it's about Kurt and Jimmy and Jim, and those stories are heartbreaking. But what a phenomenal read. What are you reading? Have you watched anything recently that kind of just touched you deep inside?
What did I see recently? Oh, I watched some movie about a train this afternoon that nearly killed me. But what did I watch recently? I rewatched a documentary of a guy called Bela Fleck. He's a banjo player.
Oh, wow.
And he took his banjo and his banjo tech. I didn't even know there was a banjo tech.
Wowza. Wow.
And he took a trip all the way through North Africa. I think he went to Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda and another place that I forgot. Just with his banjo, and he learned all of their traditional music and played along with them and did all the tunings correctly. And I mean, some of the bands that he played in were like 30-piece bands, and all of them playing these crazy instruments. And I just thought it was really crazy. This American guy with this banjo was, and he's quite a sort of like straight down the line kind of guy, not a very flamboyant guy or anything, just a very down to earth, modest person, and just went and connected with these people. And what he did with all the music, I thought it was really good. It's called Bela Fleck, Throw Down Your Heart.
Wow.
That's a very cool one, yeah.
I can't wait to
And there's some
check
cool
that.
African music in there as well. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. This is why I asked the question, because gems like that kind of sneak by you.
Yeah.
They don't get as much marketing or promo as they deserve.
Yeah.
Maybe they're hiding in the
They're
shadows.
on the side tunnel,
They're on the-
way
yes.
down on the YouTube side tunnel.
Yes. Okay, wow. I look forward to checking that out. And my next and one of my final questions is, I know you've played with so many artists and you try to get to as many gigs as possible. You also book for venues from time to time. This is a difficult one because the list goes on and on and on, but it's one I need to ask. For those watching who are maybe unable to get out there to watch live music or aren't exposed to South African music, because let's be honest, there isn't a big enough light being shone on South African music. We're getting there slowly but surely. But for those who don't know where to check out bands, maybe some great new SA bands, who are you listening to now, and which SA bands have you listened to for a really long time?
Well, I must say, I was talking earlier about Zambia last year, and at that gig there was a reunion Shadow Club show, and it was just that particular gig was very special because we've all watched each other play over many years, but it was a very small festival, and I got to stand with Jackie, my wife, and we watched from a meter away with no one around us, our buddies playing, and they played it was probably one of the best sets that I'd ever seen. Obviously accented by the Zambezi flowing quietly, but mightily below, next to us.
Yeah.
And I'm mentioning that because I think the songwriting that Jacques has put on his new solo album, I think he's only released 1 or 2 songs so far. Or is it the whole album out? I'm not really sure.
I think the first single's called Into the Rain,
Yes.
which blew me away.
And I was lucky enough to I was doing sound for him even for a couple of shows before that was released. And I know that whole album is going to be really something special. And there was one other one that I heard. We're talking about Acheson.
Yes.
And I heard a great song from them, which is awesome. And Yakumans has a song with Peter from what is they called again? Reiterpiet.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a great song too. So please check out Reiterpiet featuring Yakumans, of course. A great new song out. Amersham has some new tunes out as well. And Jacques Moulman, check out his new album, The Great Mariko Redemption. The first single is called Into the Rain. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that is a great one.
Some great bands that you've mentioned there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And hopefully in the next 15 years, another Naming James song.
Woo! I'll be 16 because I'm going back in time.
Absolutely.
Yay!
Great.
You can play my 16. I'll have a walking stick and I'll be great, but I'll be acting 16. Jamie is going to jam a song or two for us now, but before that, anyone you'd like to send some love out to, a special shout out to, because there are some gems in the music industry, and sometimes they don't get mentioned, or you don't get the opportunity to send them some love. So,
well, first and foremost, I'd like to just thank my wife Jaxie, who does all my managing and comes to all the gigs with me.
She's
and
the best.
Puts up with living with the inner child at home. And secondly, Kerry, I'd like to thank you. I don't think a lot of you guys out there know how much that she does behind the scenes, and we appreciate it so much. And in and amongst our small little music community, we love you so much and everything that you do for us, and we appreciate it lots. Okay.
Thank you so much.
And my mom and dad, today is their 41st wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary to another 41 healthy, happy, magical ones. Amazing. I think there's something's going to come out. I just want everyone to live forever.
Yeah.
So I'm getting younger, not by looks. But happy wedding anniversary, and thank you for that beautiful shout out. You're just a magical human, and your heart is made of diamonds and gold and sunshine. So now Jamie's going to jam a song or two for you.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play. This first song is going to be called Eyes on the Prize.
Yay. I'm going to get out of your way. I'll join you back in a sec.
Here we go.
I was a cold Casanova, sipping cyanide and soda. I was an old blind hobo, sinking sidewalk sailboats. I was a bulletproof banker with targets on my ankles. I was a psychic psychoanalyst in a van full of cannabis. And what you gonna be when you get old, wrapped in rags or jewels? And how you gonna say you spent your time? Was it a waste or were you wise, with eyes wide on the prize? Eyes wide on the prize. I was tiny little tin can. I was a mathematic minor, studying abacus divider. I was a Zen Zulu warrior when the blood river story stirred. I was a paper plane pilot, always flying where the fire lived. And what you gonna be when you get home, wrapped in rags or jewels? And how you gonna say you spent your time? Was it a waste or were you wise, with eyes wide on the prize? Eyes wide on the prize. With eyes wide on the prize. My time, listen to learn the rules, so I could break them and replace them with a different tune. Some say grow up, don't be so naive, but they don't know what I know, and that's alright with me. I kicked the bucket with the clinical dust. Oh, but a visit from a wizard came and woke me up. In and out the same old way, bound by bones and mortal chains. Oh, I don't seek peace or the pearly gates. Oh, I just take another ride around the sideways eight. I just take another ride around the sideways eight. Everybody's requested my resume, some kind of misfit description I could never explain. And I got lungs of thunder and hurricanes. Oh, I've been dropping dead brain cells like breadcrumb trails. In and out the same old way, bound by bones and mortal chains. Oh, I don't seek peace or the pearly gates. Oh, I just take another ride around the sideways eight. I just take another ride around the sideways eight. I just take another ride around the sideways eight.
Hooray! Naming James on the Marshall Hangout with myself, Kerry Ann. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the jam, and thank you so much for the chat.
And thank you for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. You're the best. Thanks again for checking us out. A big shout outs to the amazing Naming James, to his beautiful wife, Jax, and manager. And a big thank you to you for watching. And of course, a big shout outs to the crew, Dee and Deervels behind the cameras. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.